Every single time I've recreated a FNAF game in Minecraft, it's always been the same basic gameplay, where it's just you sit in an office with a bunch of items in your inventory as cameras, and you go around using those items to defend yourself from the animatronics. Now, I want to work on something why I'm working on something that is much bigger, such as while I am recording this, I'm working on FNAF 6. Now I don't want to keep you guys waiting too long, so I want to work on a smaller project, which is recreating Glamrock Freddy from Security Breach in Minecraft. Now I have a pretty rough idea of how this will work out, because Glamrock Freddy is different from the other games because he helps the player and he has different mechanics. Now the Glamrocks work in different ways from the other animatronics, because they walk around their prospective cycles and will not break that cycle until they spot you, and when they spot you they will not stop chasing you until they either catch you use one of your resources to defend against them, or you lose their spot of sight. Now I really would love to make these animatronics at the moment, but as Cup of Tea EXE already has recreated Monty from Security Breach in Minecraft, it would be very good if you would go check out his video as well. But for now, I'm not going to recreate any of those at the moment, and I'm just going to skip to Glamrock Freddy. Now, you should go watch that video and have it linked in the description. And more recently, he recreated the entirety of the mixer system from Ruin in Minecraft. And I'll link both of these videos and his channel in the description below, because I really want you guys to go subscribe to him and get him to 2,000k subscribers. Now I'll hop over into Minecraft and let's see how we'll make Glamrock Freddy from Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach inside of Minecraft. And now let me show you my idea. Here's the world I have for this project, and it's just a flat world with a black and white checker pattern floor, because we don't want Glamrock Freddy just to be out in a bunch of glass planes instead of actually, and I don't actually have the pizzaplex, so instead we just have this platform of a block of coal and calcite to make the black and white checker pattern and just repeating. So here's where all the command blocks will be, and Glamrock Freddy will be testing out. So we'll test out all things here, such as the command blocks and all that. But before we start on any of that, we actually need a Glamrock Freddy model. So now I'm going to go on and start making the Glamrock Freddy model. So as I could use mods or resource packs and retextures on me to make Glamrock Freddy, I would much rather use armor stands, because like Cup of Tea EXE, I think they have a much more better look to it, and we use multiple to make them look much more better than they have. And more previously I've just used one armor stand for each of these animatronic models, but this time I'm going to use multiple because I just like the look of it, and they look much more detailed and much more better than they would. So as you on the screen, I have a Glamrock Freddy model currently being made, and as you can see, it looks pretty awesome. Now that we have our Glamrock Freddy model, as you can see here, made out of multiple different armor stands, as you can see, one for the bow tie, the lightning bolt on his chest, and some for his arms and his head. Now that we have this, we can actually start using command blocks for it, but as if I were to teleport this armor stand someplace else, the rest of them wouldn't follow. So let's set up a command block that makes it so they will always follow this armor stand to make it look good. So as you can see here, I've finished and added some command blocks to Glamrock Freddy. So if I move one of the armor stands, the rest of the armor stands will follow. Now I'll show you, so if I were to teleport this, the base of the Glamrock Freddy over to someplace else, the rest of the armor stands follow and still make it in this position. Now I did that with these repeating command blocks over here that will always teleport a certain entity to a certain area of Glamrock Freddy. As you can see here, it's executing at the position of the Glamrock Freddy's base, then it'll TP someone with the tag of Glamrock Freddy legs to a certain position facing a certain direction. So as you can see, here is Glamrock Freddy, and if we were to teleport him someplace else, like let's say a couple blocks up behind him, the rest of the armor stands will follow with him, making it look like so we can teleport one armor stand around instead of having multiple armor stands constantly being teleported. As you can see, the more I add it, they will all follow the one armor stand, still making it look good. And if I also make it facing me, my position, as you can see, it also the other armor stands also face in my direction. It's a really nice touch, and it makes it so we don't have to have a bunch of command blocks teleporting it, and that can only teleport one entity. The first set of command blocks I want to get started on is to call Freddy. So as you can see, if I click this button right here, it will give me a player head labeled Call Freddy. And I know exactly how this is going to work. So if we were to throw this player head, a command block would detect it, and Glamrock Freddy would run towards our position and not stop until they get in a certain distance of you. And I don't want the player to be able to spam this, because it could break things easily. So instead there will be a couple second cooldown so you can't spam the Cool Freddy, and it will only give you back the item after a short period of time. So here's the command that gets that to work, where it's detecting when the player has an item that is a player head and it has the tag of Cool Freddy. And when both of those things will apply, it will detect when the player has that specific item in their inventory, and if they do, it will send an output. So let's go over here and give ourselves the player head, and as you can see, it powers because we have the player head. But we want it when we don't have it. So instead of adding a redstone torch, we could go to the beginning of the command block and replace the if with an unless. And that is doing the opposite. As you can see, it detects that I don't have it, but the second I do have it, it won't detect it anymore. So this, instead of having a redstone torch there, which adds delay, we can just use this. So I've added this command block here. So inside of it, we're going to write this very lengthy command, which is execute at E, tag equals GF base, because that is what we named the armor stand. Then once again run TP at E, name tag equals GF base to its own position facing us. So as you can see, if we get out of the command block, it will if we give this item and we throw it, Glamrock Freddy will now turn to look in our direction. And that's good because that means he will now, no matter where we are, always look in our direction, which means he will always teleport towards us. So second, we need to add a repeating command block. So let's grab that and put it on top of here. So first we're going to write execute if entity at E tag equals GF base is in a distance of, let's say, but first we have to add this at the beginning, which is execute at P, and then run this. And then once it does that, let's say 5 blocks or more. And if he's in 5 blocks or more in our direction, it will run another execute command, executing at his position once again, and then it will run another command, which is this is a very lengthy command, and then it'll TP at E tag equals GF base to the same coordinates it's at, but 1 block in front of where it's looking. So no matter where it will look, it will always teleport a couple blocks in front of it, and then it'll face in our direction. So if we move, it isn't stuck in that direction. So as you can see, if we give ourselves this item and we throw it, Glamrock Freddy will now teleport towards us, but we don't have the item. So what we want to add is to give me back the item, because if I run away over here, Glamrock Freddy will follow me, because as you can see, I don't have the item. And every time he does this, it will glitch out his armor stand model. So first we have to make it so when he gets in a certain distance of the player, it gives it back so it doesn't so Glamrock Freddy doesn't follow the player constantly. Also, we want to make it so he doesn't speedily come to the player, so let's change that. And then once we do that, as you can see, if we get Glamrock Freddy back over here and we throw it, Glamrock Freddy will slowly make its way towards us. But this is still too slow for my liking, so let's change up this block a couple more times until we get the amount of speed we want Glamrock Freddy to have. Now as you can see, this is a pretty decent speed, but the model is still glitched because it hasn't given us the item yet. So what we're going to need to add is the system that gives the player back the item once they've thrown it, so it can be reused again later. So I've added 2 extra command blocks, as you can see here, and I'll go over what's inside them. So here it detects if we don't have the player head, so this will only power if we throw the item, and if Glamrock Freddy is in a distance of 3 blocks or less, it will power powering this command block, which will give us back the player head, so he will stop following us. And I'll show you off that. As you can see, I'll show it off here. I've also added some extra stuff in these 2 command blocks. So over here, I'll show off how it will work. So if I throw it, as you can see, Glamrock Freddy comes to my position, and then he will stop because I now have the item again. And now this is exactly how he works inside a security breach. But as you can see, he just slides towards us and has actual no walking animation. So let's go ahead and add a walking animation for him. So I have now added some command blocks over here which give him the walking animation. So as you can see, this is going here, constantly changing his pose, but also it won't power if we have the player head labeled Cool Freddy. It will not power, because it will only power if we don't have it, because we don't want him to be walking on the spot even though he's not moving. So as you can see, if I throw this over here, he will play his little walking animation before stopping, and if I throw it again, it will keep happening, and no matter where I go, it will always play that when you throw the item. But there is a bad downside, is that sometimes when the animation stops, he'll be stuck in a position like this, and we don't want him stuck in a position like this, because then it will look like he's still walking even though he shouldn't be. So that's where this command block comes over here. So we'll take it off from here, and then we'll move it here. And then what will happen is that it will be sort of like this, and it will detect when the player has, so this time it won't detect when it doesn't have it, it will detect when it does have it. So we'll move this unless with an if, and if we have this command block instead of always active, as you can see, the pose is reset. So no matter where he goes or what pose he previously had, it will always set to here when we have this item. It's really helpful, and really helpful for his walking animation. That's all that is required for the cool Freddy ability. Now I want to make the hiding in Freddy ability, where you can jump inside of Freddy's stomach hatch and walk around as play as him to hide from the opponents. The second time we'll be using the interaction entity, and it'll detect when you right click it, and when that happens it will play a little animation of you entering Freddy before becoming Freddy. Now this will work in the same way as the armor stands do, as we'll add a repeating command block to that over there, where we'll constantly teleport the interaction entity to somewhere near its chest, so it detects whenever we right click the chest, and it'll play the animation until making us become Freddy. Now I've got a pretty clear idea of how this will work, so let me show you. So I've added an extra TP command that teleports the interaction entity to Freddy's chest. As you can see, if I turn on hitboxes, as you can see, the interaction is there at Freddy's chest. And that's just an extra repeating command block over there, teleporting this to Freddy's position. Now, what we want to add now, as you can see, if I right click it, it says I'm in Freddy, and the scoreboard on the side of the screen gets set to 1. But we have to change that so we can exit Freddy, but we can't hit it again. So let's start with the scoreboard command, because we're going to be using a scoreboard. So scoreboard rejects adds Freddy crouch, Minecraft .custom, Minecraft sneak time, because it's going to detect when you crouch and you're inside of Freddy. So you can see we've now created the scoreboard, and if we display that scoreboard to the sidebar, as you can see, if I crouch, the scoreboard will increase, but if I stop crouching, it will stop increase. So first we need to add something that detects when we actually crouch. So first let's add in this command block, execute if score at P Freddy crouch matches 1 or higher. So if it detects that we have a score of 1 or higher, it will send an output. So let's go and grab a comparator, and as you can see, it's detecting that we have a score of higher because we've crouched for longer than this amount of time. First we have to add this so it only powers before, only powers if we're in Freddy. So execute if score at P in Freddy matches 1. So that means it won't power if we're not inside of Freddy. So it will only power if you're inside of Freddy. Now that we have that, we actually need the thing that resets the system. So let's set another command block here, and inside it we're going to write execute if score at P Freddy crouch matches 1 or higher. And then if that happens, it will run this command, which will set the scoreboard back to 0, resetting it for another time. So as you can see, if I set it to always active, when I crouch, this powers, but when I stop crouching, it unpowers because it's set back to 0. So now we have a quick system that gets us in and out of Freddy. Now we actually need to add the output that resets it, because it's not actually changing the scoreboard. So first we need to add a command block, and what we're going to add is scoreboard players set at P in Freddy matches 1. No, not matches 1, 0. It will set it to 0. And then when it set it to 0, let's add this other one so it shows something else, and let's say not in Freddy. So this command block is going to say not in Freddy, and if we go over to Freddy and we enter him by right clicking him, as you can see it's in Freddy, and if we crouch it says not in Freddy. In Freddy, not in Freddy. Very simple system, and that's how it's working. So I have added a couple more command blocks, as you can see here, these massive strip of chain commands, and this is what makes you enter Freddy. So here it detects if the score matches 1 that you're inside of Freddy. It will power this teleporting you a little bit in front of Freddy, so you're at his position. Then it'll constantly teleport Freddy behind you, give you invisibility effect so you don't see the hand, a slowness effect so you can't walk as fast. Then the rest, it will get rid of the armor that is on Glamrock Freddy, so you can't see the rest of the armor within him. So as you can see, if we enter him, it still says in chat. The only one we haven't removed is for the arms, so we can actually see Glamrock Freddy's arms. And as you see, if I go on the third person, the only armor that is still on is that. The armor set is still there, you just can't see the armor. But the other set of command blocks when you crouch, it will power those, giving back the armor from the items in this chest. So it will replace a certain slot on the armor stand with these items in this chest, giving it back the item so you can actually see Freddy again when you're not inside of Freddy. So now all we have to do is add the power system, so Freddy actually has a limited power. So scoreboard objectives add Freddy power. And then this isn't going to be a custom one, it's going to be a dummy. And so we're going to write dummy. So scoreboard objectives add dummy. Now that we've created that, we're going to set it display to the sidebar, and then we need to add ourselves to it. But since Freddy has 5 bars of power originally, we have to times that by 2 so he doesn't have a short amount of time for each bar go down. So 5 times 2 would be 1,000 in our case, because we're going to be doing it by 100. So we'll have to give the player 1,000 points, so it would equal into us having that amount of battery. So we'll take 200 per bar. Now that has been added, we can go back to this command block, which will detect when we're in Freddy. Then scoreboard players remove at P to 1. Freddy power 1. So it's going to remove 1 score from our Freddy power every single second. And then after that, we have to add this at the beginning. Execute if score Freddy at P, Freddy power matches 1 or higher, because we don't want to remove it if we're below 0. And then it's going to run this if we have that amount of power. So here's the power design I have, and it has another scoreboard called power bar, so it detects which one has a power bar. So it will start with this one detecting if the bar matches a certain level and if the power matches a certain level. And it will title at the action bar a different amount of squares resembling amount of power, and each time it will move more than 1 square. It will move 1 square each time, so every time it will have 1 less square, so every single time you have 1 less power bar. Now it will also set, with these chain command blocks, it will also set the power bar back to the next number, so it no longer powers the other command. And it keeps going, but on this one it has only 1 bar left. Instead of it being aqua, like over here, this one will have 0 bars, and it will say game over once you die. And over here, instead of it being an aqua color, it will be instead of it being an aqua color, it will be red, indicating that the power is very low and that you need to charge Freddy. So I'll show off how that looks right here. So if we enter Freddy, as you can see above the title, we get the 5 blue squares that indicate the power bar. And if I continue to stay in Freddy, you can also see on the side of the screen that the scoreboard of the numbers is slowly decreasing, and so is the number of squares, and now we're at 4. I've also added a charging station over there. It's the same design Cup of Tea EX he used in his original Pizzaplex map, because I thought it fit well. So that's what we're going to be using to recharge Freddy, but at the moment we haven't added that. And as you can see, it's slowly but ever so slightly removing power from Freddy, square by square. Then after a little bit, we should eventually see it saying low power. As it kicked us out of Freddy, and now that we have kicked out of Freddy, it will say low power constantly until it kicks us out of Freddy. But we're not going to show that off just yet. Now we need to actually make Freddy's charging cycle. So here I've made it a little charge pod from Cuppa's Pizzaplex maps. First we need to write execute if entity at P, positioned about here. This should be right. And let's copy this, and then let's come over here, grab a repeating command block and paste it in here. So first we're going to paste it, and then we're going to write if entity at P, distance equals 1.5. That should be a reasonable distance. Now we set it to always active and click done. Now we get a comparator, we put it out like this, grab a command block just for a testing so we know that it works. So let's just say we'll have the command block say, it should be pretty reasonable if it'll just say charge. So it's going to say charging. Now let's go over there. But as you can see, nothing will happen because we have to be exactly 1.5 block away, and that's very hard to perfect. So then we actually need to go over here and make it so it can be 1.5 or less, so we add 2 dots like that. Now when we come back over here, it works as we come, like that. So now all we need to do is make it so instead of just walking up to it, you have to walk up to it and crouch, because that would be actually really nice. So first we have to make a scoreboard objectives add. Let's call this charge crouch, so charge crouch, and then it's the same type of scoreboard we used to before for the exit Freddy, Minecraft custom Minecraft sneak time, and now it works in the same way. So when we crouch, it will increase the scoreboard every time we crouch. But first we need to combine the command block that makes it detect that we crouch and out at that position. First we need to make sure it resets, so we just copy this command block and we only have to change one thing, and that would be the title of the command of the scoreboard. So that would be the title. It would be called charge crouch instead of Freddy crouch, and as you can see, it works in the same way. Now we need to make this so it detects when you crouch at that position. So at the beginning we add execute if score at P, charge crouch, matches 1 or higher, run this. So now I have to be over here and crouch. I can't be over someplace else and crouch, or just be here. I have to be here and crouch for it to work. So we just have to add a few more command blocks to fix this and finish this up. Alright, so now I've added some more commands over here. So there's our Freddy over there, and here I've added some command blocks, including some sound effects and a few extra touches. So if we go into Freddy, as we can see, we have one bar of, and it's flashing low power on our screen. So if we exit Freddy and we go over here and crouch, we enter the command block, the charging station. When it plays a sound, we are now inside of Freddy, fully recharged, ready to be reused later. That actually wraps up Glamrock Freddy, and he's now fully completed. I've also added an animation from when you hop into Freddy. It's actually really nice, and I'm really proud of how it turned out. I haven't added the obvious stuff such as the boss fights and parts and service because they are in another world and we have nothing to test them out on. So here's the animation. It's just this row of commands that will be powered by a redstone block. And then this works wherever because it teleports you in front of Freddy, not specific coordinates, and I'm really proud of how this animation turned out. So let's get on with part 2 of this video. Now the other thing I wanted to do for this video was recreate the daycare attendant from Security Breach, as he has a very unique design where he only comes out and the lights out, and he's such a great character, yet he only appears so little in Security Breach. Now, the total command block count for Glamrock Freddy was 121 exactly, so let's move on to the daycare attendant. Now, I wouldn't want to build the whole entire daycare from Security Breach, so conveniently provided for us from Cup of Tea EXE Security Breach map is the daycare from his map. So I've copied that from his world and put it in mine. So we have the whole daycare to work with, and we don't have to build any. So the first thing that happens when you start the daycare chase sequence with the moon is that you go over here and you have to take the security badge off the desk. And when that happens, it will start a cutscene where where the lights will go out and you'll get a security level. But after that, a cutscene will play where you'll have to face over here where the daycare attendant will be standing on the desk crying about how you turned off the lights. And after that plays out, he will fall down on the ground and turn into Moon. And once that comes back up, that's when the actual gameplay starts. So I've done a bit of work, as you can see here. Here is the sun model for the cutscene at the beginning of the daycare sequence, and here's the moon for the cutscene. As you can see, these are just for the cutscene because they are missing certain parts, such as the moon doesn't have a full body. Now these are the commands that animate and teleport the different armor stands around. This one's for moon and that one's for sun. So as we can see, if we go down into the daycare and we hit this button over here, it will play a sound effect, mute us, it will turn us over, give us a slowness effect so it looks like it closed up, play sun's animation, then sun will closely disappear, we'll look down, moon's 2 arms will come up, he will peer up himself, and then his head will go to the side before us getting our effects cleared, and then we are free to turn on all the generators and escape the daycare. So now we're going to start working on the flashlight, which I have an idea for. So as in our inventory, we have these 2 items labeled flashlight, one with an on and off sound effect. So we're going to be crouching to turn it on or off. So when we crouch, it will replace the item with the on one and then turn it off. This revolves around a scoreboard, which will set our position to a light block if the scoreboard is on, and if it is on, it will remove it. Now, as you can see, if I go and create the scoreboard, which will be crouch, add at P. Let's call it flash crouch, short for flashlight crouch. And then we will make a custom one, the same as have we added earlier, which will be Minecraft.custom, Minecraft sneak time, so it detects when we will crouch, and it will do the exact same thing we have been doing every single other time we've created these ones, which we will be setting it to scoreboard to the sidebar so we can see it. Then we will grab the command block to detect when we crouch, and then we'll and reset it every time this happens. It will just reset it like it has for every other scoreboard, such as the Freddy crouch and the restartation crouch and all of the crouching ones we have created. So now we're going to do this command block, matches 1 or higher, run scoreboard objective player set at P to 0. So it will set it to 0 and reset it for another time. So then we'll set this to always active and hit done, and as you can see we have a fully scoreboard ready to be used. After a few days of work, I have done a lot more commands. And the first one I want to show off is the Faz Watch. As you can see, if we throw this item, we are now in the camera system. And this is the camera system, and I've made all 5 cameras that are inside the daycare play structure. And I would not want to make all of the cameras inside of the daycare, so I've only made the ones that are inside of the daycare structure itself. So now, also as you can see, it saves our camera. It also locks us in place so we can't look around anywhere else. So we're forced stuck here. It also gives us an invisibility effect, and it also saves the player's location, because usually when it will just teleport the player to a specific coordinate back in the security office. But since Security Breach, you're free to roam wherever you please, and no matter when you go back, you'll always be in the same spot. As you can see, if we throw it here, there's an actual Gregory little armor stand over there, and when I come back, he's gone, to indicate that we can actually see Gregory in the cameras. Now, the way this works is there's an armor stand that gets teleported down to my location just before I get teleported to the camera system. And when that happens, as you can see, the armor stand will be set there and will be teleported to that armor stand before the armor stand gets teleported back up to the command blocks. So we have a system, so it has 2 reasonings. One, to be look good, so we have actual more atmosphere, and another one to make it so it actually looks better and you can actually see Gregory in the cameras. So if we were to throw this again, there's Gregory, and it will get teleported to the exact same position, because that's where the Gregory armor stand got teleported. So if I were to go up here and show you the commands, these are all the commands for the camera system. It's not a lot, it may look like a lot, but it's honestly not that much. Here's the armor stand for Gregory. It's just simple dyed armor with a Gregory player head. So this detects when you don't have the player head label open Faz Watch, and this one detects when you don't have the one named closed, opening and closing the Faz Watch. This detects if you don't have the one named Cam 1, and it will repeatedly teleport you to that location if you don't. And these are just to give you the white items, so if you throw the orange ones, it will infinitely set them to white ones until you change again. It's actually a really nice touch, and I really enjoy how I did this. Now this is Gregory armor stand, just with a Gregory player head and some dyed armor. I've also made the flashlight, as you can see in my inventory. If we were to go down into the build and clear our effects, and we go down here, and we were to hold the flashlight and crouch, the player head will be replaced by one that looks like it's on, and also it will give off light and will not put any light behind us, because it's setting our position to a light block if the score is on. It's actually a really nice touch, because you crouch and it will replace the player head with one that's on, and if we just keep doing this, it will just repeatedly turn the flashlight on and off repeatedly over and over again. Now I really like this flashlight design, and this is what I'll be using from now on. So when we crouch, it will set up a position to a light block. I can change the level, but at the moment I'll just keep it to the level we have. I've also during this time made the slides work, but if I walk up here I go up to the slide, and you might be wondering, in the original Cup of Tea EXE Pizzaplex map, Cup of Tea already did that, but since I copied his build over to mine, it actually hasn't saved the same coordinates, because it would teleport you to somewhere else in the build, because the daycare is in the exact same coordinates as it is in Cuppa's map, so it would teleport me somewhere else completely random. So instead I had to start over from scratch and redo all the coordinates. I've also made it a lot more better and more efficient by adding different ways of how it detects you, so it detects if you're in a certain distance away, and it's just a very nice touch. So now let's actually get onto the daycare attendant himself.
So after about a couple hours of design, I have a design for Sun. So here is Sun's entire design. I will add a few more extra details later, but it starts with this command block here, where it detects when you're a certain distance away from Sun. When that happens, it will start making sure Sun is running towards you in your direction, which will teleport, and it will also add a tag labeled runaway. So you now have this runaway tag, and if it detects that I have the tag runaway, it will give me levitation when Sun is in my touching me, teleport me to Sun, and make Sun glide to where he's supposed to drop me. Then when Sun's dropping in that area and I have the tag runaway, it will remove that tag, it will clear my levitation effect, and then it will teleport me to the area that I'm supposed to. Now this is just for the light, so when the scoreboard is lights on is turned off, it will turn this, which will teleport Sun up here, so Sun is no longer here when the lights go out. So that's just all of the commands for the Sun design, and I do have some other things I want to make, like distractions, so let's get working on that. So after a day of work, I have a few things done, and that is the cutscenes at the beginning of the game, where you go down the slide and Sun picks you up. That's here, one of the cutscenes, and then the cutscene where Sun takes you over to the beginning area. I've also added Sun this animation, where he bobs his head side to side, similar to the way he does in Security Breach. Now, I really like this design, where he just bobs his head side to side, and it's just used with this right there, same as Glamrock Freddy's walking animation. Now this is for the distraction, where it detects when there is a scoreboard and it's labelled 1, and this is when you hit an interaction entity. It will start a countdown timer, which will power this, and it will distract Sun. Now I really like that design, and I'm really proud of how it turned out. Now here are the little things, are their armor stands with an interaction entity there, and when you punch it, it will start the little thing, but I'm not going to show you that because it will activate Sun, and I don't want Sun activated at the moment. So I'll activate Sun later and show it off in the playthrough. Now over here is the Moon model that I've started working on, which now I really want to get working on Moon. Now that I have made Sun, I want to start making Moon. So let's get over the basics. When you are in the daycare section of Security Breach, while Gregory is wandering around the place structures turning on generators, Moon is wandering around this area when you can distract him with some distractions to get the generators more quickly with avoiding Moon. Now there's multiple of these scattered around the daycare, and I'm unsure if I want to make all of them because it could mess up with some commands. But for now, I'm not going to add any distractions, and I'm just going to do Moon and the generators. And all of these generators are scattered, hidden throughout the play structures, and I've made all of these play structures have the generators working using the generators that Cup-of-Tea.exe already placed in his play structures. So I've made them functional, so the only thing that remains is to make Moon himself before we have to make the actual gameplay. For a few weeks of work, I'm finally able to make the entire of Moon. So as you can see, I've tried to make a lot of designs for this, but here's the Moon model from earlier, and here's his jump scare. So it detects when you get in a certain distance from the model, and it'll power this, which will teleport you in front of Moon, so you're forced to look at him. It will also, his walking animation is the same one Cup-of-Tea.exe used for his Monty. Once again, that video will be linked in the description, as well as his channel that you should 100% go subscribe to. Now this is his jump scare animation over here, where he has his animation for the jump scare. Now over here is a lobby, because I've also added a lobby, which I'm really proud of, as it says 5 minutes for Security Breach. There's a Moon plush, and the light flicks on, and now it's a Sun plush, and then when they flick off, it turns into a Moon plush. There's a start button here, a decorative weather rail used for discharging water, and a Mr. Hippo fridge magnet. And I'm really proud of how this lobby turned out. Now these note blocks are from Cup-of-Tea.exe's Pizzaplex map, because I am not that good at note blocks, so I've just copied them from his map and made some changes. So yes, all of these note blocks are from Cup-of-Tea.exe, so make sure you subscribe to him. I've also added a mini Security Breach logo, just shrunk down. Now there's only one thing left, and that's actually to show off the gameplay of my map. Now, I have a different idea of how I could do this. Now, usually I play through my own maps, but as I know where the generators are, that wouldn't be that fun. So I've asked my friend RGB01 to play through my map for me, and so I've sent him the world so he can play on. And I think this would be very fun, because as he's my friend, I've featured in some of his videos. Like always, his channel will be linked in the description, and he's made a bunch of other type of videos like tutorials. So as he's recently got Java Edition, which makes him able to play this. Here's a bunch of tutorials for Bedrock Edition, such as the camera system and good animatronic designs. So let's go on to his playthrough of my map.
It's me RGB01, and Evan asked me to play his awesome map, so let's see what he did. As I can see, it's Security Breach themed map. I guess it's kinda daycare minigame, so I can see Sundrop plushie here. There are few buttons around the map. Oh, it's Security Breach phrases. Before we start, Subscribe on Evan the Eater. Any secrets in this fountain? Nah. Hi Sundrop. Okay, let's start the game. Oh, it's SB logo, just like in Cupiterix's map. So Evan used Cupiterix's daycare. I can easily escape lol. Yippee, I escaped from daycare. ALR, I have fastwatch. So I guess I should go to the daycare. Oh crap, it was loud. Can I just ignore the cutscene? Oh, I can, lol. Yippee, no boring cutscenes. I guess I should back or Evan will kill me. Hi son. ALR, let's find first generator. Here's it, but before let's take the flashlight. So it's time to turn the lights off. Hi sun, goodbye Sundrop. Hello Moondrop. So let's check the cameras. Oh, that's me. So the first generator is here. I saw him. Hope he didn't see me. Oh, I guess he didn't see me. Holy crap. He's gonna catch me. Goodbye MOON. I need to find generators. Come on, let's go. Almost there. I'm so confused. I need to check the cameras. Yes, I did it. It was awesome. Thanks for letting me play it.
Now that brings us to the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'd like to do smaller projects like this in the future so I don't keep you guys waiting a long time for a video. Now, like always, I will link these two channels in the description for RGB and CuppaTeaExe, as they are both a very great help to this video, and I highly appreciate it if you'd go subscribe to both of them. So now that I hope this is the end of today's video, and I hope I can do more of this another time, but keep your eyes peeled out for other videos that I might be planning. And with that, I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll see you in my next video.